Hey gang, I know it's been a bit since I've posted anything to YouTube, and no, it's not because it's a million degrees in my office and I feel like I'm melting right now, but it is for a legitimate reason, and so I felt like the least I could do is give you an update, set some proper expectations on what you can expect from me in the near future, and then also share with you why I took the break that I did. But we're going to start with the stuff that hopefully you are looking forward to, because I know I am looking forward to these things, and it begins with regular YouTube content returning tomorrow. I say regular because I cannot guarantee that it'll be daily at the moment with everything going on, but I'm going to do my best to post as often as I can. I'm going to start with the Saltwater Scourge game mode. This is something that I was personally very excited for when they announced it, and I have not been able to play it at all. So I'm going to be going in blind. I'm going to share with all of you my first playthrough, and I hope that we can all have a good time doing it. Also, stuff coming up in the near future. I've got some more Legends of Runeterra casting work, but I actually can't say more than that because it's kind of unannounced at the moment. So just look for announcements. Something that has been officially announced that you can look forward to is me being the desk host for upcoming Wild Rift events. Right now, Riot has an event called the Summoner Series that is taking place across multiple weeks. It has a $100,000 prize pool, and it is being produced by Nerd Street and Wisdom in a partnership, and I'm going to be the desk host for a number of weeks for that. So if you like Wild Rift, or even if you don't, you just want to see me, you can tune in to those events as well. Also, in the next month, I'm going to be starting a second YouTube channel. Now, when I officially start it, I will post another video saying, hey, it's up, it's live, and if you're interested, you can go check it out, sub there, yada yada. But basically, I am really enjoying Flesh and Blood. It is a physical card game, and I want to make some content for that, and I will again talk more about that when the time is right. So on top of all of that, it's my goal to get back to streaming on Twitch as well. Last night was my first night back in like 10 days. As part of the broadcast, I was explaining live to chat where I had been, what was going on with my health, and we're going to end this video with that clip from last night's broadcast so that if you missed the broadcast, you can get your own update on what I've been going through with my health recently, kind of what my path is going forward, and so on and so forth. So if you did make it this far, I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you're excited about the YouTube videos returning, the broadcasts returning as far as esports stuff goes, etc, etc. But here's the clip from last night, and again, thanks. I've got a lot of casting stuff coming, which is great news, but also means I had to take some time to prepare for it. Might have some other sponsorship stuff coming soon, which was great news, but I might need to take some time to prepare for it. I want to do the Flesh and Blood stuff, which is great news, but I had to take some time to prepare for it. And so on top of all of that, just in general, I had a bunch of health problems, which is why I did not stream or release YouTube videos for an extended period. And the worst part is that they're not solved yet. So I was thinking about doing something on YouTube, but I guess since I'm live, we can cover this before I jump into the first game. It's going to be a bit of a long-winded explanation, but I feel like it's a requirement, because if I lead off, well, actually, you know what? We'll do this for fun. I will lead off with the reason that I started having problems, or not necessarily the reason, but the immediate concern, and then I will explain why I had this concern. I thought I was having a heart attack. So let's start with that. I thought I had a heart attack. Now, it's very reasonable to look at me and say, you're insane. You're an absolute idiot. You know, you're a young, virile, healthy gentleman. Why would you think you were having a heart attack? That's absurd. But I promise you, one, I'm not as young as I look. I am in my late 30s, though, which is still very early for heart attacks, especially just any cardiac event. However, in my early 30s, I had a TIA, which is like a stroke that does not cause permanent damage. My entire left side went numb, and after that event, went through a battery of tests and things, and I was diagnosed with a blood condition called lupus anticoagulant, which is a bit of a misnomer in the name, because it is not actually lupus, and it's not actually an coagulant, but that is what they call it. And they call it that because when they first discovered this particular blood disorder, it's because of a test they were doing for lupus at the time. It's actually a phospholipid issue. So my blood disorder causes a number of potential issues, but it makes me more prone to clotting, which is why I had the TIA, and it means I'm more just prone to blood clots in general. If it ends up getting worse, then it would be enough to put me on blood thinners, but like right now with my age and my health, they just have me taking aspirin daily instead of like true blood thinners. But this particular blood condition makes me, if I remember right, it's something like 5 times more likely to have strokes. And then there's also a pretty large multiplier for blood clots and for increases in heart disease. Now, on top of that, on my mother's side of the family, we have a long history of heart disease, including a cousin of mine who did have a heart attack in his late 30s and died from it. His kids came home and found him dead on the couch one day. So, given my blood condition and my family history, when I started having symptoms, I was a bit alarmed. And so the symptoms were, and it still are actually, but I get pain in my chest and in my shoulder and sometimes down my arm. The pain varies in severity and it is intermittent, so it comes and goes. And when I have the pain, it sometimes, but not always, is accompanied by chest tightness, where it feels like somebody is gripping me. And it also will vary between what I would describe as shooting and stabbing pains, or like a long burning pain, which can be really painful. But it does not show up like only when I'm exercising or anything like that. Sometimes like I'll just be sitting here and it will just start hurting. And there's a number of other things that I've talked about with my doctor, a number of other symptoms, but like that's the short version, right? The TLDR is like I get chest pain and shoulder pain, which are both very common with cardiac issues, and then also pain down my arm, which is not uncommon. So this has been happening for a length of time, but it started to get worse and worse and worse, and then it got to the point where it was happening every day, and then it got to the point where it was happening basically almost all the time, right? Like every hour, right? It'll come and go and whatever. And so I eventually broke down and I went to the ER because it kept getting worse, and my thought was that if it is truly a cardiac issue, the longer you go, the more damage will be done to your heart. And so that's bad. And so even though I'd scheduled a doctor's appointment, I was trying to make it to the doctor's appointment. I ended up not making it, and I went to the ER and I spent a lot of time there, and I got a battery of tests. I still have, I don't know if it's going to show up very well in the camera, but I've got like lots of poke holes and bruising where they took a ton of blood when I was at the ER, which is actually kind of funny. It's all on my tattooed arm. So like for the next day or two, if I was outside and I caught people looking, they would think, I know they thought I was a junkie, right? Like I'm a dude with like multiple injection sites on my tattooed arm, and I probably looked tired from being in the ER all night. So I'm sure that people just thought I was some junkie, but I promise it was not the case. And the good news is they ruled out heart attack. I did the EKG, I did chest x-rays. A lot of the blood tests are because when you have a cardiac event that damages your heart, there's a special protein called troponin that gets released into your bloodstream. And so they kept taking blood basically every hour on the hour to see if my troponin levels were increasing. Minor concern because my levels weren't 0, but they were not going up. And so, things were ruled out there. There's also another protein they can test for blood clots. The big one they're concerned about is like a blood clot in your lung, but those seem to come back negative. And so we're kind of back to the drawing board because I'm still experiencing symptoms daily, almost hourly. It still hurts. The next plan of action, I actually have right in front of me right here, a prescription. The next plan of action is to pursue some physical therapy for my neck and spine. Even though they've seen nothing that jumps out at them there, the next logical conclusion is that if it is not something that is circulatory, it's probably nervous, because it's, again, starting at my core and branching down my body. So I'm going to go through some physical therapy, hopefully targeting potential like nerve damage or things like that. And if it does not improve, then I will have to get an MRI and whatever. But like, I have to do the physical therapy before the insurance will pay for the MRI, so I have to jump through hoops. But that's where we're at. So I took time off because I thought I might be dying. Good news is I'm still dying, but just at regular speed like everybody else, because we're all dying. But I'm dying at regular speed, not an increased speed, and I at least have a plan of action going forward. So we're back to streaming, and we're gonna go back to recording and all of that. So yeah, that's the long-winded version. Maybe I'll just clip that and put that on YouTube or something, because I was gonna put something on YouTube to say like, hey, sorry I didn't make videos, but this time it wasn't crippling, soul-crushing depression or imposter syndrome that made me stop making videos. This time it was a legitimate health concern.